Hello and welcome to Pirate TV's recap of Seton Hall's first round Big East tournament matchup where the 6th-seeded Pirates defeated the 11th-seeded Georgetown Hoyas by a score of 57-53 in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, last night. I'm Ben Harris here with Jimmy Bliss. Now, Jimmy, we're both seniors here at the Hall, and this was both of our first times covering a game at Madison Square Garden, and what better stage than the Big East tournament? We got an exciting game last night, right down to the wire. What do you think about the experience as a whole?
Yeah, it was a great experience for sure. I'm not even a Knicks fan, but when I walk in that building, you could just see the basketball prowess from, decades and decades of very, very good basketball players. I mean, Dikembe Mutombo was in the building. Obviously, Patrick Ewing was in the building. All of the names in the rafters, it was just like basketball royalty every time you walk into Madison Square Garden. And, I mean, we had great seats for the game. It was a great game. Couldn't have asked for anything more.
The mecca of basketball provided last night. The Pirates came down to the wire last night. What an exciting game, not expected in terms of how we kind of thought this game would go. Georgetown came into the game losing their last 20 games, went 0-19 in the Big East Conference this year, and took the Pirates right down to the wire. This game could not have been any closer and made me pull my hair out for a few minutes.
Oh, absolutely. It was a very nerve-wracking game for the Pirates and for the Hoyas themselves as well. I mean, there were points during the game where Seton Hall was down by 11, by 9, by 7 in the first half and in the second half. They started off very, very slow. I mean, that's a thing that the Pirates have done a lot this season, where they've started off the first half very, very poorly and they've turned around in the second half. But it was a lot of the same thing in the second half, where early in the second half they found themselves in another deep hole, and they just had to will themselves back into the lead, mostly done through senior leadership, graduate student leadership. But it was a little bit concerning to see how this team played for the first 10 minutes of the first half and the first 10 minutes of the second half.
I mean, the guys didn't score a point for a 5-minute stretch there in the second half around the 7-minute mark or so. But then as things kept progressing along, we saw some really clutch plays from guys like Jameer Harris, who hit a 3 to bring the game within 1. Then things kind of went back and forth. We saw Alexis Yetna get a steal and slam at that 3-minute mark that really helped the kind of back and forth of the game continue going along. Then some nice back and forth buckets between Georgetown's players and Miles Cale and Jared Rhoden. Like you said, those veteran leaders really stepping up in the moments where they need them most. Mm-hmm. And this is in a second half that was played without Kadari Richmond. He tweaked his thumb yet again. Kevin Willard said post-game that he should be ready to go tonight against UConn. But really came down to the wire, Jimmy, with very, very little time left. We saw Jameer Harris hit one of the clutchest threes in Pirates history to keep them alive. What do you think about that deep 3 ball from Jameer Harris?
This is what Jameer Harris's bread and butter is. He's able to just go ahead and make big shots and big time plays, especially the 3 ball. You have to play Jameer Harris extremely, extremely tight beyond the arc, because everyone knows what he's in the game to do, and that's to shoot threes. There was a pick play there which had Jameer Harris have a little bit of space. I think he was like 2 or 3 feet behind the line. It was a deep enough 3 that the other team had to really, really worry about it. But it was kind of a 50-50. Will he make it? Will he miss it? It was a little bit deeper than he's usually taking threes from. But he was able to knock it down. And you, me, and Ryan, our cameraman, I think we were all ecstatic as soon as we saw that the ball hit the bottom of the net. It was just a great, great time, and the entire Madison Square Garden just erupted in cheers. It was just a wonderful, wonderful, 10-second span.
Jameer hit that clutch 3 to put the Pirates up 1 with 36 seconds left. Then Georgetown comes back on the other end. Ike Obiagu gets a elite clutch block, doing what he does best at the key moment of the game. Then Alexis Yetna misses the 1-and-1 free throw after Georgetown fouls them. They get the ball back. They have one kind of last shot to see if the Hoyas can bring this one out, end their losing streak. But costly mistake. Donald Carey chucks the ball out of bounds, trying to get the ball out to the perimeter, and the Pirates are able to close things out following some inbounds, some Jared Rhoden free throws, and call it a night.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Jared Rhoden does too. He's a closer. He's the best closer on this team. So whenever the Pirates need a bucket late, whenever they need to hit free throws, you know that's going to 14. Every single time without fail. Now that Bryce Aiken is out for the year, it's got to be Jared Rhoden. And going back to that last defensive stop, that's what Ike Obiagu has done all year long. He had 7 blocks last night, which is one of the best blocking performances I think I've ever seen, Ben. And that's just expected now for a guy like Ike Obiagu, who now leads Seton Hall for blocks in his career. That's just a huge defensive play for the Pirates to be able to have a block and then to play such good defense that they force the other team to throw the ball pretty much just out of play without even being remotely deflected, just straight out of bounds because they were too scared to drive into the guys like Jared Rhoden or Ike Obiagu, fearing another block situation potentially. So huge last 2 minutes of the game for the Pirates, and that last possession just showed how good of a defensive coach Kevin Willard is and how good of a defensive team this Pirates team is.
Now, this one came right down to the wire, exciting down to the final buzzer. The guys had some comments after the game to talk about how comfortable they feel in these late game situations where things are tighter than they'd like them to be.
The guys that we have on this team, we're so close-knit, we're so together. As times get tough, we get closer together. It shows, in these close games like that.
Jared, can you answer that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's a testament to what we're about. Coach Willard always has the utmost confidence in us. I think there's not one time in the game where I look over on the sideline and I see fear at all, and I think that's big time for us. Having a coach that has ultimate confidence in us to make plays, I think it's a great feeling when you're out there.
Now, obviously, in a game that was a surprise to be as contested as it was, it came down to the Pirates having a lot of flaws within their game. I'd say the rebounding battle was a huge atrocity. The Pirates lost the rebound battle by over 10 boards. You cannot be losing on the glass like that, especially when you beat Georgetown the previous week by out-rebounding them by a significant margin. So rebounding, I think, was a huge concern last night. You saw Kadari Richmond turning the ball over left and right. Granted, that may have been because of his hand. And then I'd say my personal biggest problem I saw with the Pirates last night was probably their defensive rotations. Granted, Pat Ewing, especially in that first half, Jimmy, had a great strategy in that he was rotating Georgetown's big men to the outside offensively, forcing guys like Tyrese Samuel and Ike Obiagu and Alexis Yetna to have to come out and be more perimeter defenders, forcing Seton Hall's guards like Rhoden and Kale, and especially Jameer Harris got exposed a lot on this, had to defend slashing, driving guards. And when Georgetown has a lot of size on them, especially in their backcourt, it just didn't bode well, especially in that first half. The Pirates need to figure out how to adjust their defensive rotations so that they're not caught in compromising situations, Jimmy.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, Ben, Ike Obiagu and Tyrese Samuel, as good as they are in the paint defensively, once you take them out of the paint and you isolate them, you're just going to get past them within a split second, especially with guards as talented as Georgetown's guards. I mean, Muhammad was doing that possession in, possession out for Georgetown in the first half. But my biggest takeaway from this game, at least where the Pirates were very, very bad, I think that the assists need to go way up for this Pirates team. Right now, so last night the Pirates had 10 assists. They averaged 10.4 assists per game. You know where that ranks, Ben?
Where?
340.
Yeah.
Out of 358 Division I programs.
Those don't sound like the kind of numbers I want to continue having.
Yeah, it's not great. So we were
get them up.
Absolutely. I was sitting next to one of the Butler radio guys yesterday, and he was giving me pointers as to how the Seton Hall team can really pass the ball more effectively, more driving and kicking, keeping your eyes up, not having tunnel vision, because that's a lot of times what Seton Hall has when they get into the lane. They have tunnel vision just for the net. They don't look for their outlets or on the three wings or back at the top of the key. They just kind of look to go straight to the basket, and they get double, triple teams at times. And at that point, you have 2 or 3 teammates that are going to be open. So if the Pirates are going to go far in the Big East Tournament and NCAA March Madness, they're going to have to figure out how to pass to the open man, because there are open men on the court. There definitely are, and they have the shooters that can knock down these shots. But when you have tunnel vision and you're playing selfishly, it's never going to go well.
Absolutely. Only 3 Pirates scored in the first half of this Georgetown game. That's not the kind of distribution you want to see from a Pirates team that has been known for being pretty well-rounded all season long. So need to get that ball distributed to more guys. Now, looking to tonight's matchup, the number 3 seed UConn Huskies are a threat that the Pirates will have to be prepared for. This is a UConn team that they split the season series with, won at the Prudential Center, and then lost on the road in Stores. So the Pirates are going to have to come out on top to advance, obviously, further into this tournament, but also to really prove they're a better team than UConn after splitting the season series. UConn's got some really tough guys on their roster. I think their graduate senior, RJ Cole, is an absolute animal. That dude is one of the most aggressive, feisty guards in the Big East. He averages around 15 points and 4 assists per game, and he's a menace defensively too. He averages almost 1.5 steals per game. So that guy can really get it done on both ends of the floor. He's their leader. RJ Cole is dangerous, and the Pirates need to be ready for him, especially with Kadari Richmond being kind of banged up. I'm interested to see how the Pirates are going to deal with RJ Cole tonight.
Yeah, RJ Cole, who averages, 16 points per game. He's been a very, very good, reliable scorer for UConn all season long. And the player that I want to look out for is Adama Sanogo. The first time I saw Adama Sanogo, it was at the Prudential Center where Seton Hall won that overtime game against UConn. He had, I think it was 15 points in the first half. He was just dominating the Pirates, both in the paint and outside. He has a great jump shot. He's great from in the paint. He was dominating a guy like Ike Obiagu in the paint, who is one of the best defensive players in the country. So if you're able to do that, that opens up so many more opportunities. He also averages 9 rebounds a game. He's given those Huskies second chance opportunities to score, which is a big thing that Seton Hall did last night. They were given Georgetown second chance opportunities to score the basketball, and that was one of the reasons why Seton Hall was so poor. So if they allow Adama Sanogo to dominate the paint, if they get rebounds over Ike Obiagu, Tyree Samuel, Alexis Yetna, et cetera, this is going to be a long night for the Pirates. But I do think if they keep Adama Sanogo in check, it could be okay for the Pirates.
Now, the Pirates need to pull out this victory tonight. I think that the way they get it done is winning that rebounding battle. Last night was obviously a struggle getting out physicaled by that Georgetown team. I think if they're going to pull this one out tonight, pull off the upset over the number 3 seeded UConn Huskies, they're going to have to win that rebound battle. I think that's my key to tonight's game.
Yeah, that's a very, very good key for tonight's game. I mean, you're not going to be winning a lot of games unless you're the Brooklyn Nets getting out-rebounded where you can just shoot the lights out of the building, and that was huge last night. For me, I think that the key for tonight's game is going to be shooting more efficiently, especially the 3-ball more efficiently. I think if Seton Hall is shooting in the 20s or 30% from 3, they're not going to have a chance in this game. They need to match UConn shot for shot. If they're in that 40% or higher, I think Seton Hall is going to have a huge, huge chance to take this game from them. Guys like Jameer Harris, Kadari Richmond, if his thumb is healed enough, he's a solid 3-point shooter. Trey Jackson, I'd like to see take a few more threes. And Jared Rhoden, once he gets his 3-ball going, he's the most dangerous player on the court because you have to defend him from 3, from mid-range, and driving to the rim. If the Pirates get that 3-ball going, they're nearly unstoppable.
Absolutely. Now, Pirates have moved on from the first round, once again defeating the Georgetown Hoyas 57-53. Tonight's game will be a 9:30 tip-off as the number 6 seeded Seton Hall Pirates take on the number 3 seed UConn Huskies here in the quarterfinal of the Big East tournament. This is March, and we'll see you at the Garden.